From the Spec Network, this is Fragmented, an Android developer podcast where we talk about building good software and becoming better Android developers. I'm DonnFelker.
And I'm KaushikGopal.
Welcome to the show. As you progress in your career in software development, programming, etc., you'll notice certain things about the industry, and you'll learn certain things about yourself. And one of those things is you eventually learn that it's okay to not know everything. And what I mean by this is, let me rewind back to when I started in Android. Well, right now it's 2018. I have a little over 18 years of software experience under my belt. And right around 2008, 2009 is when I started in Android. And so, at that point I had about 9 years of development experience. And at the time when Android was released, it was a new platform. Everything was brand new. We didn't really know what it could do. But at the same time, Android was also still very large in regards to the SDK and API footprint. We had things such as the network stack, the persistence stack, so we could persist things with SQLite, shared preferences, XML. You could write files to external storage. We had, like I said, the networking stack, so you communicate over HTTP, sockets, all different kinds of stuff like that. Now, all this was very low level, and you had to write a lot of your stuff yourself. You didn't have things like retrofit. You didn't have things that made your life a lot easier in those regards. I remember very early on, loading an image from URL was a rather painful experience. Nowadays, it's easy. You just pull in a library, say, hey, download this image, shove it into this image view, and you're done. But the interesting thing that happened is, probably 4 to 6 months into my development of Android, I felt like I could kind of wrap my arms and picture this kind of like a big stuffy teddy bear. Like you can almost wrap your arms barely around it and kind of like you feel like you got control of it, right? Well, as time goes on, the ecosystem changes. There's new APIs. There's new things happening in the industry, and the SDK and the API, landscape grows drastically. It's almost something like an urban sprawl problem where cities, instead of building up, they build out. One such city that does this very well is actually Phoenix, Arizona, builds out. It's just cheaper to build out than it is to build up. And what I mean by that is if you go to New York City, we don't really have any room in New York City to build out. You've hit the edges of the water on both sides. We have nowhere else left to go, so we have to build up, and that's where skyscrapers start coming in. As with Phoenix, well, there's just a lot of desert and there's a lot of room there. So you can just continually build out, and it's just far cheaper to build out. Now there's all kinds of city stuff and planning and economics that can go into all that. But anyway, think of a landscape of an API kind of like that. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually that teddy bear that you had your arms around originally, you really can't hold on to it anymore. And as much as you want to know everything, you have to come to the realization that you simply cannot know everything. You cannot know everything about the platform. And to give you a prime example, I have not really worked with any of the enterprise application or deployment stuff that's inside of Android. I just have never had the need to. The same goes with lots of different types of camera APIs. I just haven't had the need to dive into those, or in any of the media recording or encoding or all the stuff over there in that part of the platform. I just haven't had a chance to deal with it. And it's not that I don't care about it. I do care about it. I think that it's cool. But I've also realized that when I'm building something, I'll usually just look at the product that I'm going to build, the end result. I'm going to try to figure out how to get from point A to point B. And if somewhere in that process of getting from point A to point B includes me going through a part of the system I've never been through before, and I need to learn that media encoding API, or I need to learn how to use WebSockets somehow, I'm going to do it in that time. I'm going to learn it when I need to. And some folks I don't know who coined this term, but it's just-in-time learning. And that's what I like to refer to it as. When I'm developing something, I'll learn it when I need to learn it. I'm not going to go study it for the sake of studying it. Now, if you do like to study things, that's fine. Feel free to continue to do that. Growing your knowledge base is a fantastic thing. But what I'm getting at here is that there is so much to learn just in Android alone that there's no absolute way that you could know it all and be an expert across the entire platform. If I'm going to ask you to use the mobile vision API and then ask you at the same time to explain to me how you're going to integrate deep linking with Coin or Dagger at the same time of how you're going to do X, Y, and Z in the platform while doing a push notification inside of an instant app, but maintaining your application size under 4 megabytes, but don't go over the 65,000 method limit for dexing, I'm already out of breath. That's like too much stuff. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to help everybody understand is that Android is huge. There's a ton of stuff in it. I personally would love to know a bunch of stuff. I personally have a list of things that I would like to learn, and when I have free time, sometimes I'll hop over there and learn them. And that's for like a hobby's sake. That's for personal development of like, all right, I know how to do this thing, or cool. Or maybe I want to teach someone on caster.io and I'll say, hey, here's how you build this one thing with XYZ. It's kind of a win-win there. I can teach people and then I also get to educate myself. But don't worry about knowing every single thing that's in the platform. You'll never be able to do it. And what's going to happen is you're going to stress yourself out. You're going to give yourself a level of anxiety that's not even worth it. Just know that you can learn. And the key thing to there is to know how to learn. There's a bunch of resources you can Google for like the best way to learn, and everybody learns differently. You can learn through videos, you can learn through reading blogs, you can learn through doing, such as creating a sample project and implementing what you see in a video or a blog, etc. And a lot of times it's a mixture of these things. And you can also learn by, of course, listening to podcasts such as this one. So do yourself a favor. Don't stress out about what you don't know. Learn what you need when you need it and apply the knowledge then. Try not to forget it, but, sometimes that happens and that's okay. You can always relearn it later. I can't tell you how many times I've Googled something and seen my own name come up in the research results, either on my own blog or on an answer in Stack Overflow. So you're not alone if it happens, and it's completely okay. Learn what you need to learn. And if you also prefer to specialize in one area of the platform, that's completely okay too. If you really love data persistence and that's where you want to spend your time, then feel free to spend your time there. Of course, if your boss needs you to work on something else, then of course you might have to work there. But I think you get what I'm saying. Well, I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoy your development experience. Don't let it stress you out, and take it with a grain of salt. Learn when you can, and enjoy it. Talk to you next time.
That's it for the show, folks. Fragmented is hosted by DonnFelker and me, Kaushik Gopal. We edit and produce all the episodes here on Fragmented. Sarah the Amazing Jackson from the Spec Network helps with production assistance and wraps our final mix. Our theme and ad music is by the national recording artist Blueprint from Weightless Recordings. You can find more Fragmented episodes at fragmentedpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode.